Now we have a layer that shows all of our buildings within 1 kilometer of a school and within 50 meters of a road. And these are the well-defined buildings. If I toggle or check in the buildings layer, you can see it's all showing similar buildings. And so, however, I would need to move it, reorder it above general building selection. And now you can see the general buildings, and you can see our well-defined buildings. The next thing we want to do is to show only buildings that are within 500 meters of a restaurant. And so what we need to do is to go to our processing tool, click on the toolbox, go to your vector geometry, expand it, go to buffer and double click on it. And now you want to select the input layer and make it restaurant. And so select restaurant. We want it a distance of 500 meters. You can leave the segments to be like this, or you can make it 20 as the case may be. And so once you have it like this, you can click on dissolve resolve. Select the buffer layer you want to create, save to GeoPackage, select on vector analysis GeoPackage, click on save, and let's call our output name houses underscore restaurant underscore buffer underscore 500 meters. Once you're done, you can click on OK and run. And so you have the new layer created called buffer here. Close this, and so you can also close this. And now we want to rename it. Right click, rename. Since I copied that other stuff, I can now right click again and paste and click outside. So we now have a new selection, houses restaurant with buffer 500 meters, which is saying we have our properties that are within 500 meters of a restaurant. Let's change this, instead of houses restaurant, let's change it to restaurant buffer 500 meters. So you can rename and remove the houses. So we have restaurant buffer 500 meters, because what we just successfully did is to create property that are within 500 meters of a restaurant. And the next thing we would also want to do is to further filter our well-defined building so that it only shows those properties that are within 500 meters of a restaurant. And so we'll be using the extract by location feature. Now if you notice something, the buildings is still showing within this region of interest. It's either you reorder by taking this up or just uncheck the building, whichever the case. And now here's our restaurant. As you can see, if I check this out from your map canvas, you can see the restaurants. And here's our selection, property that are within 500 meters to the restaurant. And so to extract the well-defined buildings that are within 500 meters of a restaurant, we'll go to processing, click on toolbox, go to your vector selection, extract by location, double click on it. And so once that is done, make sure we want to extract our well-defined buildings. Where the features are geometric predicate, we should make sure intersect is checked here. We will be comparing it to the features from the restaurant buffer 500 meters. And so look for the restaurant buffer 500 meters. And so you can extract the location, and let's create a temporal layer, save to GeoPackage, click on vector analysis, and let's make our output to be houses underscore restaurants underscore buffer underscore 500 meters. And you can now click on, you can just right click and copy, you can now click on OK. And once this is done, you can now run. Once it's done running, you can close the extract by location and also close the processing toolbox. And so now I can rename the feature. Right click, since I copied it before, I can rename and just paste what I copied before. So we have houses restaurant buffer 500 meters. And so we can't clearly see the effect here on our map canvas until we reorder it. And so I'll left click and drag up. And so here is our selection. So you can close this, you can close the buildings, And so here's our selection. As you can see, we can change the symbology. Okay, we can leave the symbology to be something like this and close the layer styling panel. And here you have it. This was originally the well-defined buildings, and this is our houses that are within the restaurant 500 meters. Now we want to see buildings that are more than 100 square meters. That's basically one of the client's preference, and so we'll need to calculate the size of the buildings, making sure it's more than 100 meters square. And so make sure you select houses, restaurants, buffer 500 meters. But the first thing I want you to do is right click on it, open the attribute table, and on your attribute table you'd notice that if you scroll to your right hand using the left key, you'd notice that we don't have any area field here, and so you can close this. And now you want to select the houses, restaurant buffer 500 meters. Now we'll be using the open field calculator toolbar. Here's it, so click on it. And so once you click on it, make sure that the create a new field is checked. Make the output field name, you can call it area, and change the output field type to decimal number array. And once you're done, locate geometry here, the geometry group, make sure you expand it and double click on this area with the $sign. And so once you're done with that, you can click on OK. And now when you right click on this again and go open your attribute table, scroll to your right, you'll notice that the area has been added here, and so you can close. You can now toggle this edit button and now click on save. And so now we now have it saved. And so we've been able to see the areas of the individual buildings added to our attribute table, like you can see here. These are the areas of the individual buildings. And so the next thing we want to do is right click on the houses, restaurant buffer 500 meters and click on the filter. And so we have our query builder. So we want to set the provider filter layer, this houses, restaurant buffer 500 meter layers, to have areas that are greater than or equal to 100 meters. Double click on the area and select this operator greater than or equal to, and so you can click on OK. And now if you right click on the houses, restaurant buffer 500 meters again and open your attribute table, locate the area region, the area field, you'd notice that there's no houses or properties that has a size lesser than 100 meters. As you can see, they are all greater than or either equal to 100 meters in area. So that's the properties we've been able to select. And so if you click on the filter icon here, you see the selection we made. If you click on test, it will show you that we just have 999 row records. And so we've been able to solve the client's problem in all using the basic analytical core tool of the Quantum GIS. We can now change the symbology of this. Go to your styling, layer styling property. You can change it to say red or something, any color of your choice, but make the symbology to be well represented. And so you can click on close. And now here's our 999 selected buildings with areas greater than or equal to 100 meters, and that meets the criteria of being within a restaurant that is 500 meters, roads that are within 50 meters, and schools that are within 1 kilometer of a region of interest. And so our map should now show buildings that match all of the criteria that the client actually wanted, and which is also more than 100 meters square in size. You can now save what we have done, this analysis, by going to your project, click on save as and call it vector analysis, what we've saved before, and you can click on save. And so it either replaces it if we have it before. You've been able to understand how to use GIS problem solving approach with some of the GIS vector analysis tool to solve a basic problem that has a number of criteria to meet. And so we've come to the end of vector analysis in this session. Thank you.